Bienvenidos a otro programa de Behind the Counter. Somos transmitido en vivo por el mundo entero. Yo soy Rich Tambolin y para mi izquierda es Jonathan Adler.
¿Qué es eso?
¿Cómo estás, Jonathan?
Muy bien, muy bien.
Bueno. Entonces, las revistas de la semana están aquí. Somos describiendo todo que tú quieres. And that's it for that bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
All right.
For Latinos.
Major market. Spanish dudes.
Any
love
market we'll
comics.
take.
It's a market that we do not reach here at the GFK Network.
No.
I'm not surprised.
If you want me to do Spanish voiceovers, I could do that.
That'd be great.
Just do baseball. Baseball.
Baseball.
I come, I eat the ball, and I take care of the ball, and I go home, I do the ball again.
Carlos Beltran. All right.
There's a dude named yesterday who screwed up the whole Mets game.
Uh-huh.
I never saw this guy's name before. Angel Pagan.
Angel Pagan. Angel Pagan. It's Angel Pagan.
Angel Pagan.
Did he Buckner?
Yeah, he sucked, dude. They all
Buckner
suck.
to me.
Mets suck.
Listen, I think we're like at this point they're like 58 games
Yeah, it's
behind
not
first place.
Yeah, it's not happening. There's nothing happening.
It's
With
not going
next
to happen
season.
for the next 10 years.
Like they were going to upgrade our seats, and then they said like, "Oh, your seats are good enough."
You know what's going to happen in 2016? They're gonna try to go for the World Series again.
Oh, is that what they're trying to do?
30 years.
Oh.
It's been 30 years.
It's been only 30 years.
How's your week, man?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm one of the seasonally depressed people, so like my workflow just falls to pieces once it starts getting a little cold.
Oh man.
So I'm trying not to hibernate.
Uh-huh.
So whatever can get me through the week gets me through the week.
I'm the complete opposite.
You
man.
love this stuff.
I love the cold weather. I slept with the window open last night.
Ugh.
I slept like a brick, man.
I slept very well last night, but at the same time, I felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always because I feel like at all times I feel like I'm like an old Victorian man who lives out in a cottage, and that if I leave the window open, my bones are gonna break, and like I'm just gonna get every disease possible out there, and I probably will.
You're just
I probably will. Syphilis.
You're just gonna turn into a painting,
I wish I could turn into a painting.
like Dorian Gray.
I want a little bit Dorian Gray in my life.
Why not?
I want a little bit Dorian Gay in my life too.
Before we kick this show into high gear, both of us want to send out a couple of birthday shout-outs to two of our
hell yeah.
very dear friends.
And guys from Queens also.
Also guys from Queens representing. One, Mr. Matthew Voles.
He had a tough week.
He had a very tough week.
He has.
Oh my God.
Can we cue that up?
That's the legendary artist extraordinaire, member of the Beats, Queens born and raised, still resides, has arm broken in an arm wrestling match at a surprise birthday party, not even for himself.
Yeah, that's not even a joke. A dude busted his arm.
Tune into Free For All afterwards for the whole story on that. Beautiful child. The original hipster. Before the hipster was the hipster, there was Matthew Voles.
First wolf shirt, barking at the moon.
Oh,
with other
absolutely.
wolves.
Yeah, this guy was the one who caught the wolf shirt. You want to talk wrestling, completely creative, and now that poor creative wing of his is busted.
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 Our second birthday shout out goes out to Rafael Ferranda.
Raphael, or as I call him, Ralph.
Ralph.
That's him.
Can we get that up?
Yeah,
That's not really how he dresses. That's Halloween.
That's just church attire.
That's
That's the Sunday's best.
happy birthday, guys.
Happy birthday to you both.
You know,
We'll see you soon.
You have
Absolutely.
such a nice group of friends.
We have a very large United Nations grouping of people that we hang out with.
Yeah.
Who all secretly want to just stab each other in the back.
It's true.
We're like a weird like carnival.
Who's the
slash-
Ahmadinejad of the group?
Oh.
That could be me.
If you look around and you don't see anybody, it's you.
It's probably me.
We need somebody from Guam.
We don't have one already.
No, it does run the
We'll
gamut
find
though.
one. Yo, if you're from Guam and you want to holler at us, check us out on Facebook. We're taking new members.
You can submit your resume to the GFQ network.
You don't need a resume.
Might even be on the show.
You don't even need to be a real person.
No, you could be a made-up person. You can just make believe you're in Guam and we'll come on the show.
Oh, what do they call them? Like a Guamese?
The Guamanese.
A Guamian?
Guamian.
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 Yeah.
All right, man.
Lord of the Rings characters.
You want to talk some comics?
Let's talk some comics.
I don't know why this is the first one, but I mean, we're covering the relaunch of DC, the DC New 52s. They get better every week, and it kind of it gets a little
arguable.
It's like those the medical, like the beat.
Yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's with this with all these number ones, you kind of look at it like, why did they choose this book? Like, why did they make this into like one of their new number ones? And hopefully, there's a bigger picture that we're kind of looking at.
I think so, man. I think we're 3 weeks into this. Kinda. I don't know if we should count the JLA number one as like the first week.
Yeah,
but this
you
week.
You see that thing with the little 7-year-old girl reviewing JLA?
That was great.
It was kind of cute.
It was great. It was very heartfelt because this is what they want. They want people to read comics, and if a 7-year-old girl can get joy out of JLA, then why not?
That's all we need.
I could put my my cynicism aside for a little bit. Oddly enough, the first thing I have in front of me is Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
Pretty cool.
By Jeff Lemire and Alberto Ponticelli.
Big fan of Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
Come on the show.
Please come on the show.
I read all of your stuff.
I kind of dug it. It was good. The art is it was like an awesome throwback to again, like those older Vertigo books.
Yeah, it did look like a Vertigo book.
And it read like an old school Vertigo book, and you also it also touches upon what he introduced with the Animal Man book last week, which was the Red.
Yeah. We're getting a good blend of the incorporation of the Vertigo characters along with Wildstorm and everything. Both me and Rich, we are unabashedly, unapologetically huge Frankenstein fans, and Morrison did a great job of introducing him in Seven Soldiers a few years back, and I'm just happy he's around. So whatever they're doing with Frankenstein these days, making him in this like immortal secret agent, wielding the sword of Gabriel, and just being a cool, like weird, like anti-James Bond thing is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like for me, I like the one fear I have is like if they send him into like kind of Hellboy territory, I don't want to see that where they give him the same kind of attitude.
I didn't even think of that. It could really become a Hellboy book. Yeah, very easily.
Because he's the big monster who gets the job done, and he has a heart.
I like the fact that his father, Victor Frankenstein, is in a little Chinese girl with a domino mask on.
Yeah.
That's a weird little thing. And he's got like the creature commandos behind him. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, he's got a wolfman, a vampire, like a fish lady, and who's the other one?
Vampire, werewolf, a mummy. The mummy's cool.
Yeah.
The mummy's really cool. It's a good book. It's a good solid book. It's a good start. I have faith in Jeff Lemire.
Mm-hmm. We'll touch on another quick book. I know you didn't read this. Honestly, like why bother?
I'll bother. It's just that I haven't gotten to it.
Grifter from the Wildstorm universe was one of Jim Lee's creations, who was in Wildcats, who essentially, he's a cool dude with guns, and he's got I always thought he had an awesome mask.
Does have an awesome mask.
And, in this issue,
first to utilize a floppy mask in a long time.
Yeah,
it's called Commander.
And you know what? The crazy thing with the floppy mask is you always see dudes at Comic-Con who dress up, and the floppy mask doesn't translate to real life.
No. It never drapes very well over the double chin.
Because I always see a ton of
exactly what you mean.
I always see a ton of grifters, and it's just like a stiff piece of felt with like some black lipstick over the eyes. I'm like,
like if they wear it, usually like it looks like there's a like an animal sleeping at the foot of a bed underneath the covers.
Exactly.
And just sweat.
And they always try to do the impossible, the anti-physics Jim Lee jacket, which also doesn't translate well.
Yeah, dude, your collar will never stay up that hard.
So you have a dude who's dressed in like a $40 like trade fair trench coat with a piece of felt glued to his face, and he's clearly sweating to it. That's what people got to look forward to in about a month, man. We're like about a month away from Comic-Con. Costumes, man.
Lots of costumes.
We're gonna see so many new 52 costumes.
I really that'll be interesting to see. I want to see if they're gonna take all of these redesigned DC characters and do some like Supermans and Batmans and Green Lanterns, because they look like they're difficult to do.
Yeah, especially with those collars and the armor. Yeah, I put a challenge out there, man. If anybody's watching who's coming to New York Comic-Con,
come at me, bro.
Come at us. We're gonna be live on the floor, or we're gonna be on the floor, or laying on the floor.
I'm laying on the floor.
Come at us with your costumes, man. Just introduce yourself and be like, hey, I heard you guys like costumes.
We love that stuff.
Absolutely.
What do you think is going to be like the one overdone?
Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Every year.
Always. No,
is it really?
Yeah, dude. The amount of Jack Sparrows that you get at a Comic-Con is unnerving. It's like,
why?
Yeah.
Dude, it's an easy costume, I guess, and they just think it's like they're the most charming dude in the world. and it doesn't ever work. You just get some smelly dude,
Socially inept guy that
yeah,
smells.
it's just like kind of wobbles around. I guess it's like his natural state.
Ugh.
It just sucks.
Yeah, there was a dude. I went to Chicago last year and I worked a booth at the Chicago Comic Con last year, and there was this Jack Sparrow there who was fantastic. He looked exactly like Johnny Depp, and he was probably the only dude who should have been let in dressed like Jack Sparrow. But the guy had a weird thing where he would go to every table and try to charm them with his Jack Sparrow banter, and then ask for free stuff. You know,
Stop it, dude.
and just be like, hey, I'm Captain Jack. Is that an action figure?
Is that an action figure of me?
Can I have it? And they're like, get lost, Captain Jack. Nobody wants you.
Well, do we have any movies coming out in around that time?
Like pirate movies or just
Like,
movies
no,
in
well,
general?
I'm sure movies will be coming out, but like any comic movies, because that's usually like the big type of thing that usually happens. Like whatever movie is coming out, that's like the big focus. Like San Diego, you had so many Captain Americas and stuff like that.
Well, you have Ghost Rider coming out next year.
I don't think we're getting Ghost Riders.
Probably, I don't know. They're saying Superman's coming out in 2013.
We'll always see a lot of Superman. We'll see a lot of Batmans. A lot of dudes with no shirts on doing Wolverine.
Yeah, this makes me so uncomfortable.
There's some good ones though. We've
Yeah.
seen some really good. Like,
Yeah.
My favorite one was Marvel Zombies Wolverine.
Oh, the hamburger face Wolverine.
Yeah, that looked great. If you ever want to check out cool stuff, check out Rich's Facebook. He has like 100 years worth of like of Comic-Con photos that are fantastic with commentary by both of us.
I'm the archivist from. I've been doing this forever. Every year I'll take pictures, and you know what? They're not mean. There's no like maliciousness behind them. But I'll take pictures of me standing with these guys in costumes and put funny captions on them. And you know what? Guys get points, man. That dude in the hamburger Wolverine costume
So cool.
was just like a short, chubby guy with like.
We should just put this on. We should make a separate site for just photos that you've taken at Comic-Con.
There's hundreds up there.
They're so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So Grifter, it's all right. You know, he. You don't know what's going on. He's jumping out of a plane,
Shooting guns.
And
I haven't read it, but I have a good guess that he probably shot guns.
He shoots gun. He's talking to I think he's talking to the Demonites, the Damonites from Wildstorm. I really want to see how the introduction of Wildstorm pans out in the DC universe.
So weird.
Next up on the docket, which got a little panned by critics, but I dug it. I know you dug it.
I dug it. I mean, I think the two major things that people are having problems with are the aesthetics of it. The fact that you got the redesigned Harley Quinn, and then the big thing is like Amanda Waller being a skinny chick.
Right. Yeah. Suicide Squad #1. Suicide Squad's been a book that's been around since the 80s.
Yeah.
You know.
John Ostrander really killed it with it.
Absolutely. And in a nutshell, the book is about these criminals who get put away and they're serving life sentences, but the government says, hey, if you do these missions for us, like we won't necessarily let you go, but at least you get to get out and do what you're good at, which is murder people.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what's awesome about this. And then if they don't do what they did with what we're supposed to do, their heads get blown up and this whole thing. And you've had a lot of really cool characters jump into this. And this is kind of like the spiritual successor to Secret Six, if you enjoyed that.
Right.
Especially with Deadshot being pretty much the focus of it without the mustache, which also makes me kind of weird.
I always liked that shot with the mustache. And his name's Floyd.
Floyd should definitely have a mustache.
Absolutely.
But it kind of rocked, and also it shows you, like, it leaves you on a really cool cliffhanger that they're about to murder everyone in a stadium. It's a violent book, and you get to see King Shark in a thong, and you honestly can make out the shape of his shark dick, which is fucking really unnerving.
Yeah. Like a big dude. Just imagine like a giant bodybuilder who's like a hammerhead shark head,
with a weird
sitting there
fish dick.
Yeah. Like Harley Quinn's in the book. That's another weird costume that
it's like
always
totally
see.
Arkham Asylum. It's like it's like the video game shit.
Yeah. And chicks love dressing like a Harley Quinn. It's kind of like the Princess Leia thing for me.
Yeah.
Where like it depends. And I guess this is not a knock against girls. Feel sexy. Do whatever you got to do to feel sexy.
Oh, please feel sexy.
But when you show up at Comic-Con dressed like Harley Quinn, man, I've seen so many pot bellies that I would think I was looking at myself in a Harley Quinn costume.
Yeah, man,
You know?
you really have the well, they could be a juggalo, they could be Harley Quinn. They skirt that line of it. But there will be a lot. That's like a favorite costume of
Wait,
everybody.
if they have the pot belly, they're a juggalo.
They could be.
They could be. I don't think they let juggalos into comic conventions.
No, they go like, no.
They sneak in.
They're
They
like,
smell the Fago on you.
Captain Jack, come on in. Juggalos,
No juggalos.
wait outside. There's another weird thing that I was talking about outside is that they released the video of who's in the motion capture shoot for Harley.
On the video game.
in the Batman games, and in the game she played the game. It's Harley. She's like sexy. She has like a sultry walk and everything. Apparently, it's like this really skinny Asian dude in a mocap suit. Which I like, as soon as I watched the video, I was like, man, every fanboy who's waiting for this game just got an immediate case of turtle dick.
It's like Ken Leung from like The Hangover.
Exactly. Play it up. That's exactly it.
Like, guess what, guys? You ain't beating it to this one.
Another book that came out this week that's also incorporating that Wildstorm thing is Superboy.
Superboy.
Written by Scott Lobdell, who, if you remember X-Men books from the 90s, he was...
You were reading Scott Lobdell.
Scott Lobdell and Fabian Nicieza. I skipped on the Legion Lost book because Nicieza wrote it.
I picked it up. I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah. Superboy's interesting. It's, Superboy's the clone of Superman and Lex Luthor, but they don't know it's Lex Luthor's clone.
Or they could do a flip-flop and they say maybe it's not Lex Luthor.
Right.
I'm sure it is. He's bald at this point. Yeah, I mean, everyone is bald at some point, but it's a cool little story.
Yeah.
I really didn't expect much out of it. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it. And it's just like I felt like I read the same kind of story in the Flashpoint Superman story too, the Project Superman.
Right, or it's
very similar. Yeah. It's kind of the same type of vein of doing the tube story.
Yeah, it's like the kid who doesn't know what he is.
Yeah, doesn't know what's going on outside.
Right.
There's some cool stuff. Like they're incorporating Rose Wilson, Deathstroke's daughter.
Right.
And like I think she's a great character. That they've introduced into like the Teen Titans world, and this ties directly into that crazy looking Teen Titans that they're doing.
Right. Which is like Tim Drake and
Scott Lobdell, I think, is doing that as well.
Yeah.
Wanda Sezia, one of them.
I'll pick that up. I was always a fan of the post George Perez Marv Wolfman Teen Titans. I like the Winnick stuff. I thought the Winnick stuff was a home run.
That stuff was great.
Yeah.
Jeff Johns stuff was great.
Yeah, absolutely. The really cool thing I like about this book is that they don't know where the DNA comes from, so they put him in like this virtual reality world, and
they can't figure out why he won't save.
They can't figure out why he won't save a lady from a burning building, and they can't figure out why he's attracted to a farm in Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's we've seen the Superboy storyline before with Connor Kent. It's a cool fresh take. It just hurts my head trying to like compound like all the continuity together and see how it fits together.
Yeah,
because supposedly a lot of the Teen Titans stuff has already happened that we're used to, but I don't know how that's going to start with this new Teen Titans and the new Superboy.
I think for me, one of the I don't want to call it a mistake at this point because it just started. But one of the things that doesn't sit well with me is that I can't stop thinking about that 5-year gap.
Yeah, the fight. I think that they should have spread. I mean, like 5 years in comic book time is so weird. So, like, if you don't understand, JLA #1, which launched all this stuff, is 5 years ago. A book like Batman or Detective Comics, which takes place in like quote unquote now, is 5 years later. So the thing that's killing us, like killing me and Rich, is the fact that we've gone through, 5 Robins?
5 Robins.
In 5 years.
And all the team stuff that went on, with all this stuff.
Jason Todd exists. Like, he has his own book coming out.
Right. And the thing that I always I tried to put it together in my head the other day, and I got really sad and I had to go to sleep, is that if you really think about it, even 5 years, even if it's 5 years in comic books, like these dudes work 365 days a year, and it's just like I was this guy for 2 weeks, and then I was this guy for 2 weeks.
Well, even think about like this, like think about Damian Wayne, like his son. So he's 13, 14 years old, if even, and then you had each of the Robins had to have come in as a child, like. How does time work? Like it's like it's like he's like there was a Robin when he was born, when he was still in the womb, and like I don't know, unless you just speed everyone's birth. Everyone's gonna go through a tube. More man in tube storylines.
Yeah, I mean
science age them.
I had like a back and forth with some guy on Twitter a few weeks ago, and he posted a question out there. How old do you think Batman is, and how old do you think all the Robins were? So to me, year one Batman.
We always disagree about this.
It's 20, and Dick Grayson 14, and you give him the good gap. So modern Batman is 35 in my head.
I think now you can think closer to that. I think when back in the day, I always pictured Batman as pushing 40.
Okay.
I always pictured him like late 30s.
Me too.
Well, yeah,
late 30s.
Because we grew up with like the Jim Aparo, like Batman who looked like Don Draper.
He did. He was like a young looking Batman. But that's the thing is you look at all these stuff that he went through. Like the dude had to have lost Jason Todd, mourned him, and then Jason Todd come back to life.
Right.
Like that can't be a year.
How old was the Adam West Batman?
80.
Old enough.
He was 1,000 years old.
Old enough for it to matter.
He was actually a bat that evolved into a man in the cave and built an awesome motorcycle. Yeah, I mean, Batman and Robin also came out this week, and it's a really cool. I really dug it. It was like it does the nod to Batman disappearing and him coming back.
Yeah.
So that stuff is still in canon where Bruce Wayne died, and there's like a cool little bit where he's like, I liked you better when you weren't here.
Yeah, I mean, like this is something we didn't get a really chance to do when I didn't write it, but I'm saying we anyway. But when Morrison was writing it, we really get a chance to see a lot of interaction between Batman and his son Damian as Robin. We got mostly Dick Grayson and Damian, and it was a great combination. So now we get to see like this father-son relationship redevelop, and like still like Batman being like, you better be doing what I'm saying. You're not Robin no more. Right.
And it kind of, and Batman does like the whole like kind of hand holding thing where he's like, look out, don't chase those guys.
Yeah, he's worried about him. He cares. He's a caring Batman.
Like, I'm your dad. And then there's one cool scene where they're ready to go out on patrol, and Damian's sleeping on like a flat bed with a tiny pillow.
He's like, and he like chose to wake him up.
Yeah.
He's like goes to touch him, and he's like, I'm up already. Puts his hand up.
I'm ready, Bruce. Let's
go.
Stop calling
And they
me
gave
Bruce.
him the poles again too. They gave him the poles into the Batcave when they open the clock.
Yeah.
Now they go down the poles now. Mm-hmm. There's no descent into the stairs.
That was a cool thing. They did two cool things in this issue. Was that
I like the bad guy too.
Yeah. The bad guy's really cool. They did how everything is set to, I think, like 1048, which was the date or the time that his parents got killed.
Yeah.
And then that segued into Batman saying like, which I thought was kind of weird, but it was kind of neat at the same time where he's like, I'm not going to go visit my parents where they died every year now. I'm going to celebrate their wedding anniversary from now on.
So hopeful.
It's a
bright and shining day of Batman. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the book. It's Batman. I mean, I'm going to be reading it.
Who do you think the mystery villain's going to be?
Who wrote this? This is Tomasi.
Yeah.
Tomasi. He looks a lot like the bad guy from Gates of Gotham, which is really cool stuff that went into like Gotham's backstory.
Right.
But I think it's a new guy. I think they called him the Owl in another book, another solicitation for him or something like that. But he's like a weird invisible man, creepoid.
Right. If you didn't pick up the book, the guy looks like the Ghost from Iron Man, like the modern Ghost from Iron Man comics, and he's got like a bunch of like green eyes on his face, and he's got like a kind of broken bat symbol on his chest. And I also like the fact that they went a little old school with him, and he's dropping dudes in vats of acid.
Yeah, it's a good solid read. I mean, if you enjoyed Batman Robin before and you love that dynamic, I think it's something you should really keep up with. It's going to be a good book.
I think we're going to see some little kids dressed like Damian at the
best. That's the best Robin to date, in my opinion. I love Damian Wayne.
Mm-hmm. I was always a fan of Tim Drake.
Me too. It's my second favorite.
And I remember when we were kids, Jason Todd was the Robin. That's the Robin that we came into.
Yeah.
And he was always such a snot for my liking.
Such a sucker.
And the fans killed him.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Then we get the stupid Red Hood stuff.
Brought him back. Yeah, I mean, it
was good and bad. I can't say it was stupid.
That miniseries that Winnick did, I kind of liked, where it was Talia finding him.
That was pretty cool.
Winnick
is in and out. He really like wavers with his ability, and he gets shit on all the time. Like I don't give him as hard time as a lot of other people do.
Yeah, I mean, he's been.
I've read a lot of good.
Yeah,
I've read a lot of good from him.
He's been a DC staple for years. Yeah, so I mean,
since like the rebirth of like the Dio, like making DC into what it is now.
Right.
Been a lot of that going on.
I think he writes his best when it's a character he really cares about. You know?
Totally.
And like the Red Hood stuff was cool. The Teen Titans stuff again was really cool. Just happy-go-lucky kind of stories. Mm-hmm. Well, the Red Hood wasn't really happy-go-lucky, but Red Lanterns also came out this week,
and we love Red Lanterns.
Yeah, they're really cool. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that went on in here, and it also, I don't know if you got the same feeling with the whole space thing. Mm-hmm. Where's Lobo?
I always want Lobo. I'm always wondering where Lobo is. Mm-hmm. We should always have a Lobo in a Lobo book. Yeah. And doesn't he still have the red ring?
Lobo?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think he still has the red.
I'm not
ring.
sure where that left off because I know they did a few.
Or he traded with somebody or something.
They did a few stories that I didn't pick up, which were just like 3 stories in one issue.
Mm.
So I'm not really sure where Lobo's
It's
at
so
right
weird that we have so much Green Lantern stuff nowadays. You know, you had your Green Lantern, you had your Green Lantern Corps. I think you had Green Lantern Quarterly at one point. But now, you know, we have this other faction. We have the Red Lanterns, and like I'm a big fan of, you know, Atrocitus and and like the story, like especially like his whole like his world, and you know like the way that he does like this like these like pagan type rituals, and you know these blood sacrifices. But I don't like the only one I'm really interested in this book is him,
right?
And like just like you were saying, he schemed that line of that anti-hero thing that we've seen so many characters go through, most notably
Venom.
Yeah,
Venom. They took that's the read I got from this book, is that they're kind of going the route where you have this big imposing figure who's like this madman from space. His entire sector got wiped out by the Guardians, and in this book it was like a bit of a 180 where he's like, you know what, I've lived my life full of rage and I'm losing my rage, but now I'm going to use that rage for hope, and I'm going to be a ragey hope man.
Yeah, he's like taking all the elements of the emotion thing and like trying to grasp all them. I hope it's great. You know, like I'm looking forward to it. I think a first issue is very, very hard to review because it's such a teaser for what's coming. You want to come back for more. So like I always weigh every book, especially all of these, as how much I really want to come back. I didn't get that with this book. I'm still going to be there. I'm biased to the Lantern stuff. I'll be picking up the new Guardians too with Kyle Rayner and the rest of the Maniacs that have rings. Yeah. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't my favorite.
I mean, Peter Milligan wrote this. Peter Milligan and Ed Beans or Bennis
he's good,
did the art for
I like
it.
his art.
Bennis is good. I remember when he dropped on the scene, people were calling him like the new Jim Lee. You know, I actually prefer Bennis to
me too,
Jim Lee, because it's, you know, he does like that awesome kind of updated version of like 90s style art.
He draws an awesome Atrocitus too.
He does draw an awesome Atrocitus. I would like it if the book was about Atrocitus and the space cat. What's his name? Meowmix.
Dexter. Meowmix works also. I'm a little bothered by the cat thing, just because like it's such a weird like niche thing that they like oh, it's a cat that shoots blood out of his mouth, and now it's like he's such a focus of it.
Yeah, he's such a he's like in that first scene,
it's like an
where
internet meme.
Yeah. It's like that first scene where the cat bursts into like people, like these space aliens torturing somebody, and then Atrocitus shows up and he's like, "What are you trying to do to my cat?
Where's my cat?" I can't believe I haven't seen that on the internet yet. Like scans of that panel,
right?
Like everywhere.
Where's my cat?
Where's my cat?
So, but this is also like I think they really kept the Green Lantern stuff in canon, which I really, really like.
Yeah, they did. You know what, man? There's no way you can wipe out all that continuity after something like that. Between Blackest Night and like the War of the Green Lantern stuff, they've spent so much time building up on this. You know, same thing with Batman. Like, there's no way you can like just wipe that on the rug right now.
Yeah, and
as much as it makes my head hurt.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the excuse is just like, well, they're in space for a bunch. You know, they're in space, and
they certainly are.
He has Krona's body. You know.
Yeah.
Which is still bleeding apparently, and he gets like visions from like Krona's body.
Yeah, man, it's there's a lot of things they can do with it. I think that they can run out of ideas very quickly in that book.
Yeah, yeah.
I can see it going the way of like the Guy Gardner book.
Yeah, the Emerald Warriors just kind of petered off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, man, J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman. Another book that was kind of very cool in continuity stuff. Batwoman #1. Sorry.
The other Batgirl.
The other redheaded
Batwoman out there.
Bat lady, yeah.
She's a great character. They've done a great amount of cool storyline that.
Right.
Plus, you have J.H. Williams III on this, probably bar none, one of the most groundbreaking artists of our time right now. He just rocks, dude, and the story is just awesome.
Absolutely, man. Like he takes that visual medium, and he's one. I touched upon this last week about how I feel that, again, it's not a knock on anybody's personality, but I feel like writers can't really artists have a hard time transitioning to being writers.
Oh, totally.
You know? J.H. Williams III, however, I think is the opposite, and he knocks it out of the park. Like all that,
a very good job.
Yeah, that run he did on Detective was phenomenal.
Yeah,
you know. Like really cool crime stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and Batwoman is so visceral, and like you're getting so much beautiful like gorgeous eye candy in there.
Right.
And she's a good character. She's not a one-note character. Like, military background. She's got this weird thing with her father, who's kind of like her Alfred.
Right.
She's tattooed up. She's got the alabaster skin. She's visually striking.
And
she's a lesbian, and she's picking up on chicks, and she has a relationship with the Question. So it's she hasn't been around for that long, and we've covered some good amount of ground with her, and separating her from the pack.
Separating her from the pack, and also doing like their own thing with Mr. Bones showing up.
Yeah, we love Mr. Bones, the head of the DO, which is kind of which is weird. Like, he's almost like DC's Nick Fury.
Right.
And he's a guy with caustic, disgusting, like if he touches you, you die, and he's just a skeleton man.
Yeah, he's like a.
I would hire him.
Absolutely.
I would say yes. You got the job, Mr. Bones.
I wouldn't want to walk into a boardroom though and see that guy sitting at the head of the table. Yeah, he looks like a burned skeleton with the suit, and he's always smoking
cigars. Yeah. Good character, man.
Yeah. And I also like the fact that nobody ever really pays attention to it. Like, he's a government agent, and they're just like,
they take it so well.
Cool. Mr. Bones.
I think, I think Cameron Chase in it also. She's the one that's being sent to investigate her, and she's a really cool character. There's been a lot of cool stuff with her. I wonder if Batwoman is going to hook it.
I think so.
She's not with the ladies, but Batwoman is a fetching redhead.
Absolutely,
She is my favorite type of lady.
Yeah, redhead, white skin.
Redhead, white skin, unavailable.
But don't bum. Next up,
that's it, guys.
we had another number one. It was like you were saying before about like kind of books where you're like, where are they going with making this guy have his own with the relaunch?
With Grifter and
right, yeah, Deathstroke.
But you get some pleasant surprise, and we have Deathstroke, which is a character that both me and Rich love.
Right.
He is. I mean, I hate to call him an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And that's why I was kind of anti this book, because I don't want to see him. I love him as just a straight up villain. And trust me, this book, he is a villain. He is that, but I don't want to sympathize with Slade Wilson.
Well, what was your takeaway from this issue?
Where are they going with this, or just I think they're establishing him as some type of bad motherfucker like they always do. But he wipes out they hook him up with he has a mission, and there's 3 kids that are with him, 3 teenagers who are mercs, and at the end of the issue he just wipes them out, and this is what we gotta be doing. I don't know where they're going with this. This is one of the books where I really just kind of all right, it's Deathstroke doing Deathstroke things.
Right, with no real ground behind it, kind of.
You know what? And I think a book like this too. I don't think Deathstroke is that interesting when you have him just fighting, kind of, I don't know, blank slated mercenary characters. I want to see him fight a superhero. I don't care what anyone says. One of my favorite moments is the fight scene in Identity Crisis.
Yeah,
when he takes on the entire JLA and he kicks the shit out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Deathstroke, cool character, and he has
bangs little girls too. Yeah,
really weird. One eye, psychic powers. One of the ultimate fighters in the DC universe. I prefer him as the foil, the background guy. Where they always used to lead up to the Teen Titans story of what's the big reveal going to be, and it's Deathstroke, and they know they're going to get a run for their money because they always set him up as this indomitable foe. Yeah.
Well, his brain, he's like Midnighter, where his brain operates at a high capacity in all of us.
Right.
Awesome character, but we'll see with the book. I don't know.
I do want to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'm
giving everything a story arc shot.
Yeah. I think this is I would say one of 2 home run books this week. I really enjoyed Green Lantern #1.
Yeah, I was on the fence with this one too.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing, the same theory I'm using with all these, where it really wants me to come back for more.
Right.
And we'll get to the ending of the book, but I'm really enjoying Sinestro as a Green Lantern.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a really, really cool thing they're doing with it. I really want to see where they're going with the Guardians.
Right. Because they're all kind of being
dicks.
Yeah, it just seems like they don't know what to do with themselves at this point.
And they have the problem with Ganthet. Ganthet is almost a rebel Green Lantern at this point that actually has a heart. And he was actually a Green Lantern for a while. He's a Blue Lantern he started the Blue Lanterns. And now you have the Guardians are saying we need to start working as a group, and be on the same page. and they do something to him.
Yeah, you don't know what they do to him, but it's like the first issue. What I kind of dug about this, it just seems like Jeff Johns has these characters so close to his heart, where they were talking about the relaunch, and he was like, I just keep doing what I'm doing with this shit,
Yeah, I mean, like I have faith in what he's doing.
Yeah.
A lot of people complain about like War of Green Lanterns. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Oh, that was so much candy for me, man.
Yeah.
I would love getting my stack of books and just reading like all the Green Lantern stuff. And it was so cool because it went from like such a serious story, and then you had those awesome comic book moments which are like so out of your mind bizarre, like when they had to when they were tunneling through the planet.
Oh yeah,
and it's like 4 guys with these rings tunneling through 6,000 miles of dirt, and you're just like, what's happening?
It's so cool. There's so much cool stuff they can do with like Green Lantern, and it's really like you couldn't say it's 10 years ago.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think it started with Green Lantern Rebirth, man.
Yeah.
It really kickstarted the character once again, and I like where the book picks up from where Green Lantern left off, where they took the ring off of Hal Jordan, and then they're like, all right, the Guardians were like, all right, buddy, you're done here, and he's like, what are you talking about? And before he could finish his sentence, he was on a road, like a dirt road, wearing like his leather jacket, just like
his bomber jacket.
What am I doing? Another cool thing they did in this book was
He doesn't know how to be a human being.
He doesn't know how to be a human being, and he hasn't paid his rent in 6 months.
Yeah, he's just a failure as being like a regular dude.
Yeah, and he's like, the landlord's like, I need the money in cash, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and he takes out Carol Ferris, who is the owner of Ferris Aircraft.
Who's also a Star Sapphire. His on and on, like on again, off again. Lady friend.
Yeah, and you think he's going to like pop the question at one point. He takes her out to dinner, and then he turns around and he's like, I need to ask you something. And she's like, oh my God, what is it? He's like, I need you to help me lease. Can you co-sign
with me on a lease for the car? He's a pathetic dude.
Scumbag.
He'll do well with Sinestro. Like they're leading up to like Sinestro's gonna make some deal with him at the end of the book.
Right.
Shows up at his apartment building, which is weird.
I think it's like a nod to Emerald Dawn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Well, they want to reestablish that whole relationship between the two of them. Sinestro's a great character.
He is, and it shows also that he wants to kind of get back to the yellow Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, that stuff is cool.
Yeah,
that stuff is very cool. I'm on board. Didn't read it yet.
You didn't read it yet?
I didn't read it yet.
We'll go over it a little bit. Resurrection Man
came out this
week.
The same great creative team of DNA.
Yeah.
Abnett and Lanning.
And Fernando Dagnino.
Good stuff.
They're really outsourcing.
They do a good job.
Yeah.
They're very fast.
So, give us a little backstory on the Resurrection Man character.
So Resurrection Man he was, I guess, like early 2000, maybe even before that, like late 90s.
I want to say late 90s.
A weird little book about basically a guy who he can't die, and if he does die, he gets reborn with unknown powers. So one day he can have Superman powers, next day he can hear stuff very loudly.
Right.
You never know where it's going to go. And it's just it was a really cool, quirky book. Another one of those books where I'm just like, oh, really? They chose that one as a, which is, yeah, it's just like one of those weird little things.
Yeah, and they keep up with that too, except they kind of added the whole thing where, he's died so much, so now heaven wants his soul and hell wants his soul.
Everybody's got to do the heaven and hell stuff with this.
Never big on that kind of storytelling with like, that, especially when they incorporated into like a lot of the Ghost Rider stuff.
Yeah.
It's
inevitable. Like I think whenever you do a story like this, especially like Death and Rebirth, you have to go into like delving. I want like one day there would be like a surprise, like where like Vishnu is the one involved, as opposed to like instead of like like oh surprise, like white boy, like you gotta worship Buddha now.
It's been me, Ganesh, the whole time. Oh. What do I do? He has a power where he can turn himself into glue in this issue.
Does he?
Yeah, like he gets like killed at one point, and he's just like, I'm glue now.
That was what it was. I dug him because when I used to read what's his name, the guy who writes Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin. Yeah. He wrote Wild Cards, and he had this awesome character called Sleeper, and he was he had the power. Every time he went to sleep, he would wake up with a new type of power. So one day he'd be a dragon, and then another day he can kill you with his eyes, and it was just like same type of you can really go crazy with what their powers are.
Yeah, I'll pick up issue number 2.
I'm about it. I'm looking forward to reading it. There's been a lot of stuff to read this week.
Mm-hmm. One I'm gonna go for the disappointment to the awesome book. So Mr. Terrific #1 came out. My 2-word review: Mr. Terrific, Mr. Mediocre.
Very mediocre. No, it is. It's weird. Like, I love Mr. Terrific. I think he's a great character.
Yep.
Was he the third smartest man before? Did they move him up the food chain?
No, he's always been the third smartest man. Yeah.
So very smart dude. Went through tragedy, lost his wife and his unborn kid, and he's just kind of like a science superhero, Olympic hero. But what's weird is like you just don't pull a name like Mr. Terrific out of your ass.
Right.
So and right now there's no JSA and there's no talk of like anything from the Golden Age. So like you're a modern day like black dude and you come up with the name Mr. Terrific. It's a little weird.
And he's got the fair play tattoo on his arm
and
his jacket.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's really, really weird. I love the jacket. I love the look of Mr. Terrific before the relaunch. I'm not a big fan of this one. He still has the spheres, the T spheres. But what really bothered me about the book was like how many times it reminded me that we're reading about black people. Like they really like keep on pulling it out and saying like this, like he's dating a white girl and like there's a huge like 3 or 4 pages dedicated to a black girl yelling at her, saying like this, like no girl.
Right, and there's also that one bit where he saves a bunch of people and he's just like, just say thank you, Mr. Black Man.
Yeah, that was the first one. I'm like, this is like a lot in one book.
Yeah. They really throw it at you. I think they jumped the gun on it a little bit where it's an awesome character and they threw way too much into it. I don't like him as a standalone guy. I prefer him as the
JSA guy.
The JSA guy, and it's a new thing, so maybe it'll pan out better.
I hope so.
I always get like that, like the fanboy in me always comes out because they always say that he's the third smartest guy, and I'm like, who's Reed Richards is number 1? Oh, it's a different universe.
I always do think of Reed Richards.
Automatically.
Yeah.
But
smartest dude, man.
Who are the 2 smarter guys in the DC universe?
I always just think of Bruce Wayne and
Luther?
Yeah.
What about the dude in the wheelchair?
What dude in the wheelchair?
From
from Doom Patrol?
Yeah.
But he's a psychopath. He just wants to kill his team over and over again. I don't know. Did they ever read? I don't think they ever. I think Luther is the one they always say like he's up there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ray Palmer's pretty smart.
I would throw Rip Hunter's name in the hat too.
Rip Hunter's pretty smart. But there's so many geniuses. Like almost everyone in DC Universe has some type of 8 college degrees and like can split out with their brain and
Dr. Midnight.
Dr. Midnight. Well, he's just a surgeon, a blind surgeon. Who cares about that?
He's pretty smart too.
He's pretty smart.
The
third. It's a bold statement to be the
is.
third smartest dude.
I'm the third smartest man on Earth.
You better have an answer to every fucking question.
Exactly. Exactly. I'll take this one, man.
Oh man, all right. So Demon Knights, can I have it?
Yeah.
Demon Knights rock. This was definitely one of the books that I was like, no, I have no idea why this book is being even produced. Essentially, no one's gonna tie into authority.
Great cover.
It's an awesome cover with Etrigan the Demon on it. Paul Cornell never disappoints. Really rocks it. It's basically creating a Dark Ages JLA. So you've got Etrigan the Demon. You've got Madame Xanadu, who I never gave a shit about, but I will because she's cool. I'm sure you appreciate the same thing I did. Is that so? Etrigan transforms from Jason Blood, and he's possessed by Etrigan. It's kind of like a Hulk situation, and Jason Blood and Madame Xanadu are lovers. But as soon as he transforms, Etrigan starts making out with Madame Xanadu, and he's like, "I hope he never finds out about that I'm the reason why we're together."
Right?
And she's like, "I like it dirty," and she says arse, and she's like a dirty British chick.
Yeah.
And then you've got Shining Knight. Awesome character from Grant Morrison also.
Yep.
Who is a female masquerading as a male knight. You've got Vandal friggin' Savage, which I had no idea was on the team.
Such a great character.
Immortal barbarian.
Yeah.
One of the original human beings on Earth. Was that all of them? There's an archer girl who they're introducing later on who I think is supposed to be like an oracle type of James Barbara Gordon type of thing. They made Etrigan look so awesome in this. With the armor and everything.
Yeah. I really like how as soon as you start...
Mordrew's in it.
Yeah, Mordrew's in it, and I think Morgana is in it also. I like how when they start the story, Jason Blood shows up for 2 seconds, and Merlin's like, "Hey, come here."
Yeah.
And it just infuses this demon soul.
Poor son of a bitch, man. It's a good, it's a really, and it's not too heavy. It's just right. It's it's a really, really cool hooks you with the first issue. Great art, just like a great delivery. Like I was really like this. This was like up there with like as one of my favorite books this week.
Yeah, it was a fantastic book, and you can play around so much with like the time frame, and plus they're all immortals.
Yeah,
and like Jason Blood does show up in modern continuity, and so does Mordru, and so does Vandal Savage and Shining Knight, and these are all like these immortal DC characters, and I want to see them take that to like the next level. Where they'll do story arcs at different adventures in different times.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of potential for this. It's a really fun book. If you're really like kind of counting your pennies with what you want to pick up, like give this a shot. This is worth the shot on the book.
Yeah, I think it was the surprising hit of the week too, because it got fantastic reviews by everybody, and our reviews are the ones that count the most.
Yes,
and it got
5-star.
5 stars, knocked it out of the park. Paul Cornell did a lot of cool stuff too, man. Like he did that Captain Britain.
His dog is dying on the couch.
Oh man,
do you like this book? No. Okay.
Isn't like a rhyming demons. Get out of here. Paul Cornell he did that cool Captain Britain MI13 stuff for Marvel.
Yeah, he rocks. He wrote the last run of Action Comics. Fine British writer.
Fine British writer. And he has the ability to go really lighthearted, like what he did with Knight and Squire.
Yeah, this is very exactly. That was good stuff too. This is a guy who can juggle a lot of weird, like obscure characters, which of course I love.
He likes the magic too.
He likes the magic. I hate the magic, but
I want him to do a Pete Wisdom book again when he's done with
I'd love that.
with this stuff.
I think he's kind of locked into DC right now, though.
Yeah.
Let's go do some Marvel, man.
Yeah, man.
Clean my palette.
Really, pick up the new DC books. If you're tuning into the show and the feedback we've been getting is, hey, I don't really know what you guys are talking about, but I enjoy watching you guys or listening to you guys. It's kind of like watching scientists talk on TV. You don't know what they're saying.
You'll learn something.
But you'll watch anyway, and you'll kind of learn something. We're like the Bill Nye of the comic scene.
You'll pick up on this. Keep at us, dog.
Mm-hmm. Come at us.
Come at us and keep at us.
Yeah. Pick up some new DC books. Pick up some Marvel books. Daredevil just started 3 months ago. Fantastic story. Number 3 came out this week.
One of the better like relaunches for a character in a long time.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because it does a nod. It's a phenomenal cover, man. It's Daredevil being imprisoned by Claw's body.
Isn't that awesome looking? Yeah. The art, come for the art if for anything. It's such a beautiful book.
It really is. And, Mark Waid, and honestly for me, like Mark Waid was one of those guys that like I always dug his stuff, and a lot of his recent stuff has been hit or miss, and this is a complete hit.
Yeah, you know what? With Mark Waid, I agree with you. We say a lot about Mark Waid, but like I read Irredeemable, I read Air Corruptible from Boom Studios. This dude's been killing it. He's been doing very, very good stuff, and Daredevil just is so awesome. And like he, like using Claw and the art and like the the fact that he's now going to be an Avenger, and the biggest thing is just like this whole lightheartedness of him. But this is like an issue of Daredevil being tied to a chair and trying to escape from it, and he can't make a sound because his claw is made of complete sound. So everything he does, he's being watched and examined. It's awesome. It's such a cool like tense book.
It's a really cool tense book, and it's also awesome that Claw has all these echoes of himself working, and then he has the one like smart echo who has like half a claw face and half like the costume face. Yeah, and he tells Daredevil like, listen, the guy was lost in space, and we're trying to get him back, so we kind of need you to be like the siphon
the real me. You have to it's great, dude. And there's a weird and like there's a kind of like a new setup for like the way that he's gonna practice law, Matt Murdock. And he's a charming dude. It's just a really cool non-miserable Daredevil book.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Because Daredevil's been miserable for like 6 years. The character, not the book. The book,
even longer than that, dude.
Yeah.
Like since Miller's touched the book, it's been like Daredevil in like the a nervous breakdown mode for the longest time. And
you get an awesome Bendis lighthearted Daredevil too in the New Avengers, which came out this week. The New Avengers Fear Itself. It's New Avengers number 16, where they've never had Daredevil on the team, and this is the first book with him not being able to say no to Luke Cage and his wife about joining the team.
Because he saves the baby.
He saves their baby.
Because we talked about at length before, which Squirrel Girl being the nanny of the Avengers. And, dude, he rocked in this book. Like, he takes down a ton of Nazi robots.
Yeah,
like single-handedly, awesome.
Single-handedly on the streets of New York, and it's the lighthearted Daredevil, and he's just kind of like he wants to protect the baby, and they approach him saying like, "Hey, we got you something," and he's like, "Oh, what could you get me?" And he's like, "Well, what do you get for the guy who's got everything? Here's your Avengers ID card."
And it's also it was made out of metal and had the imprint, so it could actually read it braille.
I didn't pick up on that.
I was like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it also is like there's been this running, like all the Avengers books have had this like oral history, like they're being all the Avengers characters are being interviewed.
Right.
So throughout the whole thing, they're talking about this. Was it like that they read the internet and that they are all people say like, oh, what makes an Avenger? And like it's a cool little dialogue that goes on to, so like they're all kind of poking fun at each other, like like who wants like a murderous little mutant and like a menace and some circus sideshow freak, and it's a cool read.
And then they flip it at the end where it's Daredevil sitting on the couch and he's like, or how about a crazy ninja,
A swashbuckling ninja.
crazy ninja from Brooklyn, not from Brooklyn, from Hell's Kitchen. Yeah.
Close enough.
Excellent book. If you want to read some cool Avengers and Daredevil stuff, and this stuff I think takes place, it's in Fear Itself and it's post Fear Itself, and it's like a good riff off of the those older Peter David X Factors where they're talking to Doc Samson.
Yeah.
And you have the panels of them going back and forth talking about their stuff, but it's a lot more lighthearted than that, And it makes me love Hawkeye even more.
Yeah. Well, I hope to just keep that costume, man. I know they're not going to, but
yeah. Next up, another awesome number
favorite.
one.
Ugh.
This could be book of the week.
That was my favorite book.
All new Spider-Man number one. It's the Ultimate Spider-Man. It's the Blatino Spider-Man, Miles Morales, who was introduced a few months ago with the big hullabaloo that Marvel kind of threw at us. And I hope people picked up this book. There was a lot of hype going into it.
Yeah, if you were talking about this book, you should have at least picked it up.
And this is a fantastic book.
Gorgeous book.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very urban centric too.
Yeah, you really you're setting up the whole thing is really setting up the who this kid is and why he has the powers and anything, and they give you some insight onto that. And it's not getting rid of any old continuity of like Ultimate Spider-Man or anything like that. If you've been reading the comic book Ultimate Spider-Man for a while, it's very rewarding. You get to see Ultimate Prowler again.
Right.
He's tied into this because all black people in the Ultimate Universe all know each other. But it was really rock solid. It was a great little intro, and it's cool. You're gonna get to see Spider-Man with some different powers.
Spider-Man with different powers, and it's definitely it's the other side of the tracks. It's the other side of the coin because you had for years you had Peter Parker, the kid from Queens, living in for the most part like the white bread world, and then you have this where like the first thing you're introduced to about the character is that he's from an inner city school, and they have a lottery to see who gets
dire.
I'm sorry.
It's so
I had like a weird click.
There's a dog.
Yeah, he hits like the lottery to get into like the better school, and he wins the lottery, and he's just he's really like blasé about it, and he's just like, I guess.
He feels bad about the other kids that didn't get into school.
And his uncle is the Prowler.
Yep.
Which is
really
excellent.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Hobie Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent
Great
book.
name too, Hobie Brown.
So if you want to go to the comic store, pick up Demon Knight, pick up Ultimate Spider-Man number one, the new one with Miles Morales. I think this book is gonna set the bar for a lot of stuff in the future.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good book, man. Yeah.
Fear Itself, number 6. This is the penultimate issue of the giant Marvel miniseries. Last issue we left off with Cap breaking his shield, Thor getting knocked out. A lot of crazy stuff happened.
Bad shit in the Marvel universe. This is like the fact that they wiped out Paris. You have a lot of like bad stuff happening. Bucky dying, and this was like, I love the issue. Don't get me wrong. I think I wanted to see these weapons that they were developing for, like Tony Stark's been developing for the Avengers. I just wanted that reveal, and thankfully they gave it me the next day after the comic came out. But I loved it. I love
Badass Cap.
Badass Cap, man. Right to bear arms and create a militia.
Cap wants to have he knows he can't win. He wants to have the ultimate confrontation with the Serpent. So it's him just putting together a militia at the end and grabbing a shotgun and being like, let's give this son of a bitch what for.
Yeah, man. And screaming at Odin.
Yeah, screaming at Odin, and Odin like is taken aback by the fact that this guy's there. He's like, who are you talking to? It's me, Odin.
And the Thor stuff is really good too, like the Thor and Odin stuff. Like I I really don't know where they're going with this. I don't know what the fallout's going to be for something like this. I think it's really like the stakes are high.
Yeah, the stakes are very high in this book. Excellent book. I can't wait for issue number 7. It's going to come out in about a month. Can we get like a minute on the clock for
yeah, just 1 minute on that.
For the negative zone for this week?
1 minute. Un minute.
You gotta give me a minute.
Yeah.
Give him a minute.
Well, we'll talk about.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go instead. We're gonna do the negative zone in about a minute. But Punisher Max number 17 came out this week. Friggin' phenomenal book, man. The last time we left Frank Castle, he was a disheveled human being. He had no place to go.
Killed Big Jesus.
No ammo, no money, no safe houses. This guy has realized that he kind of screwed his entire life up, and he's going back to basics.
And he's going after Kingpin.
Oh, man. How awesome was Elektra?
Elektra, like the introduction of like Punisher Max and Elektra was rocking.
Mm-hmm.
She's a bad bitch.
I don't mind that, like Aaron's doing a bang up job and he's going a little opposite of Garth Ennis because Garth Ennis never wanted to introduce any regular Marvel guys except for Fury.
He's having a good time with it.
Yeah.
He's doing a really good job.
So you had Bullseye in the last run, and now you have the Kingpin. Now you have the introduction of the Hand and Elektra, who is the craziest assassin on Earth, kills a bunch of dudes in front of the Kingpin without spilling a drop of blood on the floor. And one of my favorite scenes in the book is when the dudes are slinging rock on the corner.
Yeah.
And
got that Punisher?
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't think we should be doing this. The Punisher, and one guy is just like, the Punisher's, he's a myth. He's not real. He's like, I heard he died. This and that. He's like, I don't care. Kingpin owns the streets. And then, like a hooded guy walks up to them and he's like, gun. And then they're like, get out of here. And Punisher murders everybody, takes a gun, and he's like, all right. He shoots one guy in the head. He's like, 5 bullets left.
That's a great thing. Yeah, and they keep on like one gun, 12 bullets. And he keeps on going down the line, like collecting his arsenal.
Kills another dude later, and he's just like, 2 guns, 13 bullets.
So such a good book. You're never disappointed with Punisher.
Yeah, pick it up. And it's also a little instance of this really badass Kingpin having a little bit of fear because he doesn't know.
Yeah, it's the first time we see this.
Yeah, he doesn't know what Elektra's thinking. Like she's his bodyguard. And, he's banging out whores in his bedroom, and he walks out, and she's just sitting there in her underwear. Like,
and he wants to bang it, too.
Yeah, and she's filing her size, and he's like, do you need anything? And she's like,
it's a dangerous bang.
Yeah.
He wants that danger bang.
But then she spies on him as he goes back to work.
Yeah, it's like there's also the side plot of his wife wanting to murder him because he's murdered his kid.
Right.
He's a terrible human being.
Oh, he let his kid get murdered.
Yeah. He's a scumbag.
Yeah, total scumbag. All right, so this week's 1 minute negative zone, going back to Fear itself, it is
the thing we've been dreading so much.
The negative zone this week is Fear itself.
I'm getting Jersey Turnpike by the dog.
Hulk versus Dracula.
Hulk versus Dracula.
You better tip that dog later.
Starting now.
All right.
Negative zone.
Fear itself. Hulk versus Dracula. This is a book that we've been dreading. I don't know why I picked it up. I picked it up. It's like when you
had to.
When you're rubbernecking on the highway and you see a really bad accident. That accident was this book.
Yeah, it's a pretty shitty book.
Yeah.
You have Hulk being dropped after post Thor fight, going up against Dracula and his forces. Who cares? Who cares about this shit?
I don't care. Nobody likes vampires. We've done a negative zone.
Actually, they do like vampires. People.
Well, comic book vampires, like the bullshit, like these guys.
Yeah.
Like
these
this Dracula.
Suck.
This Dracula sucks so bad.
Like if you were coming in to read a Hulk book or a Dracula book, if for whatever reason you want to pick up a Dracula book at this point, what a disappointment. Like it's just like Hulk is barely a presence in this. They're trying to build up on this weird like vampire mythology, and it's just so boring and so dry.
I feel bad for the guy out there who's a fan of Dracula and of the Hulk who picks this book up and he's just like, this is retarded.
I've just wasted my money. Is that a $4 book?
This is a $3 book.
Thank God.
But it's Gischler and Stegman and Hulk is
done.
Done. We're done.
Done. No
All
more.
right.
We can't talk about Victor Gischler anymore.
Stupid. All right. Last book.
Into him.
Last book today.
Do you want
2 minutes.
We got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Journey into Mystery, man. Journey into Mystery number 627. Kieran Gillen.
The Loki book.
Killing it in this book. Really cool kind of side thing with the Fear itself stuff. Mephisto, the Marvel devil, but in this issue they established that he's not actually Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a weird like thing that's always been in Marvel, how there isn't Satan. Like there's Damien Hellstrom is a son of Satan and he was a character, but there's a great moment where the whole story is Mephisto talking in a bar to a bartender, kind of telling him like what's going on in hell and like the way his job works basically. And it's great because you have so many devil characters, and there's like they're all sitting around bullshit, and there's like the throne of Satan, and he's like, no one dares like sit in that seat. It's got the Inri at the bottom,
right?
But it's just like a really like cool like Sidorak is there, who's behind Juggernaut. So all these like demon figures are all just like squabbling, and
the Asgardian devil is there too, and he doesn't say anything.
They have an Aztec god over there. Right, he talks about the pantheon of the gods and all this shit. It's like it's a real like Journey to Mystery is such a pleasure to read as like. Because it's very hard to do all this myth stuff. Nightmare is in this book.
Yeah. Awesome conversation with Nightmare too, where he's like, "Listen, like I'm the king of fear, and this guy, the serpent, is the king of fear. I'm afraid of this dude because he's gonna he's gonna kill me essentially." And Mephisto's basically like, "Don't do anything, just hang out."
Yeah,
And every scene in this book, Mephisto is drinking something. Like the dude's an alcoholic.
Yeah, and he loves peanuts too. Pretzels. But the best things also he says. He wouldn't get let into somewhere. He's like, but I got the best sideburns. Right. And until that moment, I never realized that he had sideburns.
He does. He has the floppiest, like, he almost has like Dragon Ball hair.
I hated him for so long, and I've grown to love Mephisto.
Yeah, I always kind of dug Mephisto. They have to use him properly. This is a great use of Mephisto when they were doing all the Asgardian stuff with him controlling the evil like Valkyries.
Yeah.
And him fighting Hela for dominance in hell, and it's all like backhanded, like back alley stuff, And
that's what's cool. And like, the book ends with like him dropping an anonymous letter to whoever's in charge of Asgard at this point. That what's his name? That Loki is freed Surtur, which is like the beginnings of Ragnarok all over again.
Right, Surtur.
All
right, folks, it's time.
Andrew's doing a weird thing in his hand again.
He's doing the flush the toilet move. Spin around. Do you want me to spin around?
Spin your seat.
Spin around. All right, everybody. This has been Behind the Counter. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Rich Stambolian.
Jonathan Adler.
End it.
Goodbye. All right, goodbye. You're done.